TFR Podcast Live, hashtag You Found the Spot. Thick Black History Month movie list.
Nice.
Part 2. So here we go, people. So as you see, let me give you a quick rundown of what you see up there real quick.
Okay.
You see dead presidents, dancing in the streets, the story of James Brown and others, the Mac, Tear the Roof Off, we just finished reviewing that, Crush Groove, Hip Hop Evolution, Hip Hop, the songs that shook America, Do the Right Thing, Spike Lee's film, Fight the Power, PE, Boys in the Hood, Hidden Colors, the breakup of Tony, and Straight Outta Compton, right? So let's bring this up now and let's go through these.
Yes,
all right.
That was heartbreaking, the breakup of Tony.
Yeah, that was. Okay. So let's look at this.
Okay.
Dead President. So this is the list of films that are essential that connects from 1969 all the way through up till today. These are the songs and the groups that influence what's happening today, though there is a new crop of individuals out doing their thing today, but these are the groups and the individuals that influence what's happening today. Right? Dead Presidents movie, 1995, written and directed by the Hughes brothers, starring Lorenz Tate, Keith David, Chris Tucker, and an all-star cast. Brings the reality of life after returning from the Vietnam War back to America for American blacks, right? So what was happening? First of all, 73% of the soldiers drafted to go over to Vietnam were from American black neighborhoods, right? So as you're looking at this, so this film is happening in 1960, late 69, going into 70s, this film is taking place, right? So Dead Presidents is definitely something to watch. It ties in, it gives you the perspective of what was happening, what was in the mind of black GIs coming home from the Vietnam War. Dancing in the Street, Make It Funky documentary, 1995, chronicles the change in American black music from the 1960s into the 70s, based heavily on the godfather of soul, James Brown. Right? And then it breaks into and talks about other groups, that were influenced by dropping it on the one. All right? The Mac, 1973. Directed by Michael Campus. Screenplay by Robert J. Poole. Music composed by Willie Hutch. Willie Hutch most definitely is a underrated composer of music. But he composed music for the blaxploitation films. And why he's underrated is most don't know that a lot of what hip hop uses today is between Willie Hutch, George Clinton, James Brown, and a few others. But Willie Hutch is definitely up in their top 5, right? Captures the street level politics of American life. The street level politics of American life. Now, some people like to laugh at the blaxploitation films from that period. They say, look at how they dress, look at the hats, look at all that, right? But it's one thing. When you listen to when you watch the Mac kicks game, right? Like there's many times I wonder why people run from the police. Right here in the Mac, it tells you
not to
run.
Right.
Don't run because they're gonna shoot you in your back. So they're kicking game in there. Stand in. Make them have to shoot you in your face.
Right.
Do not run.
Right.
I mean, these are things. These a lot of people criticize the blaxploitation era, but it's a lot of information disseminated during the blaxploitation films. Now,
You know what? Do you remember when a story that my father had told us like years ago? Because when he was an athlete at John Adams High School, he was a star. He ran track, right? Uh-huh. And he was at the park at the time. Was it called Wood Hill Park?
Yeah, it was Wood Hill because Luke Easter came out.
Minding his own business. Right. And a policeman, a cop car,
pulled up on him, hassled
him, and told him to run. He's like, "Run? What do you want me to run for?"
So he didn't run. But then he saw something out the corner of his eye, mm-hmm. and the police officer was trying to plant something on him, mm-hmm. and he was like, "Whoa, what's that? What's that?" Right. And then the police, they looked at each other, and they was gonna take him up into the, because I guess Wood Hill used to have more hills or whatever in the mm-hmm. park. Mm-hmm. They was going to take him somewhere secluded and do something. He said, "Well, you don't know who my father is." Mm-hmm. See, those are the type of things that were put into movies.
Right.
And he got out of it because when his father came, they found out that his father was just regular Joe Smo.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But he got out of it and he was alive today because he was able to get out of it. So those are the type of things the police were doing because they just wanted to get rid of black bodies.
An innocent young kid.
Right?
Right.
Let's see. So what's the next movie up is what we just finished reviewing.
Right.
Tear the Roof Off. The Untold Story of Parliament Funkadelic came out in 2016, featuring members of Parliament Funkadelic. A film by Bobby J. Brown tells the horrors of being in Parliament Funkadelic, right? The next film up is Crush Groove, 1985, loosely based on the rise of Russell Simmons, starring Blair Underwood, Sheila E., Run DMC, LL Cool J, Beastie Boys, and an all-star cast, right? The next film, now this is bringing this together, this is tying in eras, because remember, we told you that hip-hop is influenced by James Brown, Parliament Funkadelic,
right.
Willie Hutch, and a few other groups, right? But those are three of the mains, but Willie Hutch again is in the top 5, right? So Crush Groove, right? Hip Hop Evolution 2016, hip hop song, and then I put them together equally, along with hip hop songs that shook America 2019. Both feature hip hop artists, and the music that brought the message.
Yeah.
Do the Right Thing, 1989, written and directed by Spike Lee with an all-star cast. The film captures the temperature of Brooklyn and the black community in the late 1980s, right? So when I say the black community, we're talking about over the whole United States.
Right.
That people could reflect and relate to this movie.
Right.
They could relate to Do the Right Thing, right? And what was driving Do the Right Thing but a pumping song?
Yeah.
What was it called?
Fight the Power.
Fight the Power.
P.E. Public Enemy.
Oh, that's right. Fight the Power.
Right. That
was the song that drove that all together. And what was the driving beat behind Fight the Power? Oh, it's the Godfather of Soul, James Brown.
Yes.
That's right. So what comes naturally after that is a documentary called Fight the Power, 1989. Public Enemy live concert video captures moments in time in the late 80s going into the 90s where pro-black mind state rose again. That's right, where pro-black mind state rose again, right? So these are connecting the dots. Now this is music and film that influence what's still happening today.
You know what? I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about those Browns that have like this soulfulness in their souls and in their music? It just comes across like with James Brown, hit after hit after hit, right? Chris Brown, hit after hit after hit. it's just like their pores just ooze great music, and they're a talent, and they're both like, well, James Brown in his time, just like Chris right now in his time, forces to be reckoned with, because not only were or are there like Chris and were for James, but they weren't just entertainers. They could dance as well as they produced, as well as they wrote, right? Where some artists, they perform songs that are given to them to either rap or sing, but these guys, they wrote, they produced, right? And they were also businessmen. So when I saw the James Brown story, when I learned that he owned so many different businesses, right? And Chris has his own businesses.
Yeah, but you can put Bobby in there too.
How could I forget Bobby Brown too? I'm glad you threw him in there too. Because just think about Bobby Brown, right? He left New Edition. His album blew up, and it's still a classic today. Still a classic. And then he has his own line of barbecue sauces. He's a businessman as well. Yeah. He can sing. Right. As well as dance. He's an entertainer. Yeah. So what's in Chris Brown?
So something needs Browns.
I'm thinking about the comedian. No, that's Chris Rock.
That's Chris Rock. No, there's no Chris. There's no Brown.
There's no Brown there, but he's talented also.
Something must be something on that particular plantation. Must have been a lot of jubilee happening Monday through Sunday, and not just on Sunday. Right. Let's see what Tanya in Congress has to say. Okay. She says that documentary was really good. Tear the roof off. Yeah. Where is Bliss being shown? It's shown on Amazon Prime. Yep. A lot of their music was created high. This is true. Bootsy is still kicking fire. Whenever there is a large group like that, there are borderline groupies. Even if they are musicians, there are borderline groupies. Yeah, I agree with that. But I mean, everybody is groupifying, because it's open sex and everything else. So here we go, people. The next thing. Boys in the Hood, 1991, directed by John Singleton, starring Cuba Gooding Jr., Lawrence Fishburne, Ice Cube, and an all-star cast. This movie right here is the movie that let the world know what was happening inside of Los Angeles, South Central, now they call it South LA, neighborhoods. Right? Before this movie came out, people at the end of the movie, everyone should have seen this movie already. Classic. If you haven't seen it, right? It's all right for me to say this. Right. Ice Cube at the end of the movie, he says either they don't care or they don't want to care about what's happening to us in the hood, right? And they said that they saw dudes that was hard dudes coming out the theater crying during the screening, and they came up to John Singleton and said, "Thanks for telling our story, because no one has ever told our story." Right? So they were very appreciative of it. Then the films that came out that were a little bit more sensational about it, and not really the heartfelt thing. Like I'm trying to see John Singleton is gone, and I'm trying to see what.
Grew up in it.
Yes, and I want to see what Snowfall is like without John Singleton now, because is it going to be a glorification of what was happening in the latter years of the dope trade, or is it going to be something that people will be proud that they're still telling the truth about the involvement of the CIA, and exposing that for people to know that this is what was happening, that the United States government was funding a war on the backs of American blacks. Right? The next film after Boys in the Hood is one from Tariq Nasheed entitled Hidden Colors Volume 1. Hidden Colors Volume 1 filmed and released between 2010 and 2011. Tariq Nasheed takes the viewer on a journey of American black history, filling in the gaps, filling in the blanks of what was actually happening. What's actually happening with our history, right? This one is the one that kicks it all off. And Tariq Nasheed has been one of the largest contributors to taking what was in books, getting the people on film before they passed away, to tell this story in a edited masterpiece that moves fast, that drops information on you so quickly, right? And right now it's 5 volumes, but we give volume 1 the nod in this. This is what's going on. These are the films, movies, docs that move from 1969 up to today. That still influence music today during this Black History Month list.
You know what? Hidden Colors, right? We've seen 1 through 5. We love all 5 of them. Number 1 kicks it off, and just like annually on PBS, Eye on the Prize is shown, right? I feel like Hidden Colors should be shown on PBS annually. And just like when we originally reviewed Hidden Colors, I feel like it should be seen in every school, right? In every college. It should be a requirement, right? Black studies, American studies, as well as like shown, if anything, shown at least throughout Black History Month, the month of February, right? So yeah, this documentary is the best documentary that I've seen so far on American Black history. But then he goes as far as telling our history prior to some of us being brought here to America, because again, you will learn from watching the documentary that a lot of American Blacks were already here.
That's right.
So he does a great job in telling the truth of American history, or just history overall.
Well, American history is American Black history. American culture is American Black culture. Now, the next one up is one on Tony, or Tony. Loyalty, No Royalty. The breakup of Tony, documentary 2020. The business of music not discussed before success. The reason why I wrote it like that is I wanted to reference back to Tear the Roof Off. That's where the problem lies. The business of music not being discussed before success. You should have your knowledge of what it is to be in the music business and say, hey, are we the band? Or are we members of Tony? So history seems to repeat itself. And so Tony was a heavy influence in the 90s. Lay your head on my pillow.
We met during that period. What album was that?
Relax. Lay your head.
Do you remember?
Wasn't it Revival?
Oh, okay.
Wasn't that the first album?
Was it, or the second album? It was the yellow cover.
It's a Revival.
That's the first album. Okay.
That's the first album. It had Anniversary was the second album. The first one was what was the song that was on there? Oh, it never rains in Southern California. It sure does rain there now. We'll be the first to tell you. But anyway, so look.
Because I remember when we went and when we woke up that morning and it was raining outside, we was like, wait a minute, Tony said
it never rains in Southern California.
And so we had to go buy an umbrella.
This is can we sue them for
we're like, we on vacation
for false advertising?
I think we needed an umbrella.
It never rains in Southern California. Well, it does now. But anyway, look, people. The last of this list, part 2 of You Found the Spot Thick, hashtag Black History Month movie list, part 2, Rhythm, Soul, and Rhyme, is Straight Outta Compton 2015 with the all-star cast. The film details the rise of NWA in the late 80s into the 90s and beyond. And what does the super producer Dr. Dre use in much of his music? Well, he uses the Godfather of Soul, James Brown, right? He uses Willie Hutch. He uses Parliament Funkadelic. Matter of fact, The Chronic is Parliament Funkadelic all the way through and through and through, right? So, Straight Outta Compton 2015.
Classic film.
Right?
Yeah.
Late 80s and early 90s and beyond. These are the movies, docs, music, starting from 1969 all the way up to the stuff that influences all the way up to today.